welcome back, everyone. It's so lovely to see you all. It's just so nice that actually, when we've been doing these presentations for the last year and a half and feel like we've just been staring into a camera, whether anybody's there, anybody's listened, anybody's able to, the interactions that we get. So we are delighted, and thank you so much for coming out this evening and such a brilliant turnout in support of this event. The aim of this evening really, I'm Philip White, head of school. I'm still using that in my new job title. I get very excited about that. And the aim of this evening, I have got the massed ranks of colleagues who've given up their evening to come out and join you this evening. And when we use the term information evening, we do mean information. There is an awful lot of information, such that we felt that you needed a booklet just to accompany you, so you can try, what I hope is when people are thinking that looks really important, hopefully we've got a step ahead of you and it's in the booklet. We are also recording this, and we'll have the PowerPoint and the recording available through the YouTube channel. Thank you. Just check with my cameraman there, Mr. Young. So that will be available for you to view afterwards if you're bored on Saturday evening and want to rerun it with a glass of wine. We are your go-to entertainment channel. Who need Netflix? What we've tried to cover is quite a range of different topics, and as well as talking about really at the start of this year, and I'm going to kick off in a second, just a bit of a welcome, a bit of a getting us into the start of this year. But actually, we're not underestimating what feels like a little bit of a big bit of a mountain ahead for the year. And it does feel a bit unknown. It does feel unnerving. It can be a very challenging time, and it's a challenging time for everyone in the family. We know that because it's about that support. It's about that doing it together. And it's about really making sure that we're all together on this, from school, from home, in that real supportive network. So what we're trying to do is get some advice, some thoughts. We want to cover some of the curriculum support that we're going to be putting in place. So we've got Miss Cording is going to be talking really from the achievement angle in terms of the support, the revision support that we're putting in place. Mrs. Lilly is going to talk really from a Director of Achievement point of view, and again about all the different ways that we're supporting your daughter and the things to think about. There's lots of little things that we've accrued over the years in our experiences that we think are good things to share with you. Some of you may have been through this before, and you think, I'm sure they did that last time, but we have refreshed, I promise. It's not all the same. Miss Truman and Miss Johnson really talking about, from a careers perspective, from Mrs. Johnson, from a sixth form perspective, Miss Truman, really just a bit of a flavour of some things to think about, some options, and around obviously thinking about, because it's not just about thinking about GCSEs, it's thinking about your future and moving forwards into those next steps. Mr. Powell very much focused on lots of really, and lots of information, lots of tips. Some of the stuff's in the booklet, but it's an introduction to things that we'll be going through the year with your daughters, some of the themes that we'll be working on. So there are some common themes throughout this. Mr. Morris, I'm delighted Mr. Morris is here, our new assistant head teacher for character development, and actually just talking about some of the other opportunities, not forgetting that we are all about the whole thing. This isn't just aiming at one thing. This is still about helping build the whole student, helping them with balance as well, really, and that's a key word at times throughout this year. And then we've got our subject experts. We've got Miss Tuig, who's head of faculty for English, so we're going to just give you a little bit overview from English. We did stick just to the core subjects at this point. We know that therefore you'd love to hear, I'm sure, from all the other subject areas, but you can imagine, what a long evening it would be. And we're looking at other ways of doing some of those things, but we've got a revision evening in February, and again, we'll have on hand some subject support there. So we're not forgetting them, but we've just gone with those that kind of represent the biggest numbers of students and can give a real steer. Mr. Holbrook, unfortunately, head of maths, has been called away on a family emergency, so I was thinking I was brushing up my maths stuff to sound like the expert to you. But thankfully, Mrs. Lilly, as a maths teacher, literally just then I went, you can do the maths bit, can't you? She was like, well, I don't know what was in the slides. So we're going to do a double act. It'll be smooth and seamless. You won't notice anything at all. Mr. Holbrook, we're very proud of us that we'll deliver his notes and his messages. His email's on there at the end anyway, so you can just bombard him with emails. And we're very delighted to welcome Mr. Fuller, head of biology, here to talk about the science GCSE course and some key things to look at with that. And then I get the real exciting finish talking about that C word briefly, but just to close the evening. We will stay around at the end for questions as well. And obviously, please do come and talk to us. Please do email us. We've got put contact details throughout, so you know the people that you can talk to and be in touch with. So here we go. Scream if you want to go faster. It's that time, and it's every time we get to stand in front of an audience or in front of students in assembly and talk about this. And actually, the last couple of years, it's just been a very different message or a caution or unknown. It's more like the black hole, I think, at Alton Towers it's been, where you're just like, we don't know what's going to happen or where we're going to be. And we are starting this year with a lot more hope, a lot more optimism, but we do not underestimate the roller coaster ride that every student, every family has been on over these last 18 months or more. And for all of us, it's certainly been quite a journey. And what's most important, I think, is hopefully the assurance that we are here to really take them through on the final kind of loop-the-loop. And we're all finished, all sitting in the right places. Everybody's going to come through this. We are going to come through this together. And I was talking to colleagues about the year group and about the way they've started in this last week and our last 2 weeks, and the way they finished at the end of the summer term as well. They've been amazing. You should be incredibly proud of the way your daughters have tackled the rigours, the stresses, the unknowns that we've been talking about, and that they come back with a smile on their face, with a real spring in their step, and some real purpose about what they're doing. And it's been so lovely to see that. So such a lot of praise, and we're going to keep telling them how wonderful they are every way that we can, but they have made such a brilliant start. And so we know that they want to come on this last bit with us. We're not dragging them. They want to jump on the roller coaster, I think. And it does feel like, you know, what a journey we've been on, where we are, but we are nearly there. This is the kind of, and I was trying to find some sports day photos. We'll embarrass them as many ways as we can in assemblies with various analogies, but we talk a lot about standing on the start line, but about when you get to that start line, what do you have to do, all the training that you put in place, everything that you do in order to, you know, you don't just arrive at a race as an Olympic athlete to be a winner, to achieve those things just by turning up and hoping. And it's all the training, all the effort, all the time, all the hidden stuff that goes in that really comes into getting them there. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to make sure that when they line up on that start line, that they are so well prepared, they're so well trained, they're so ready for what they're going to do. I think we've got some slightly weird thing with the colours, haven't we? I think it looks like it's washed out. And there were a lot more in colour earlier. But in terms of what we're doing and what we're here to do, we're unashamedly going to celebrate the achievements of the students who've come through. We're so proud of the last cohort who came through. I mean, and we really just wanted to, it's partly to put you at ease, it's partly to talk about some of the things that we're successful at, some of the things that we learn as we go, and that's what we're aiming for next August. And when someone talks about the key dates, August has got a question mark next to it in terms of results days, because there are a few question marks still in terms of what exactly dates some things are going to be, and we'll talk a bit more about that when we get to that. But we want to get to that point, and as we say to the girls, when they're standing there with that envelope, before they open that envelope, if they can say to themselves, I did my best, I did everything I could, I did my best, then they should be proud of whatever they get, and they will take that and should be proud of that. And that's the message that we want them to have. As long as you did your best, and you gave what you could, and you tried your hardest, who else? No one can ask any more of you. And it's all part of that journey, that it doesn't always have those smooth sections in it. And that's what we know those girls could all say when they do that. I said this, they were red earlier, those bottom lines. Don't be put off. But the blue line is the Haysford line, the black line underneath is the national line, and just a few sort of headline figures. But in terms of grade 4 and above, they're the door openers, and so to achieve as many grade 4s and above as you can gives you way more opportunities and options going into post-16. And when you look at any courses at post-16, most of them will talk about grade 4s or above at GCSE in terms of those opportunities. And we work really hard because getting English and maths, which is the right-hand one particularly, we're working towards, we want all of them to achieve that. For some, that's a massive journey. That's a big journey because they're all coming from different start points. But that is our aspirations to achieve that for the girls, because that really opens all those doors for them as they go up. And we're very proud of our journey, and we're very proud of, and that, you know, the graphs that we show, and any graphs that, go the other way, that we look at. And these Progress 8 scores, and maybe you understand Progress 8, maybe you're not sure what it is, but essentially it's a kind of average grade difference between a national kind of marker and our school, measuring their start point at Key Stage 2. So essentially, if you take whatever your daughter achieved at Key Stage 2 and you compare that to similar students nationally, how did your daughter in our school achieve compared to those students nationally? So it's essentially, what's really nice about it, it's a value added, but it's about individual start points, and it's measuring from those start points. And that's what we're most proud of. So we can get all the grade 7s and all the, the attainment markers in the world, but actually that for every student, we're incredibly proud that we're, and the last few years we're going up all the time, but adding a grade. So compared to another school, average school kind of nationally, we're adding a grade extra value to the grades that they achieve, and that is something we're incredibly proud of. And we put that down to the curriculum choices that we help them make. We put that down obviously to the quality of teaching and all the support that goes in place, and of course incredible support that you provide for them as well. Well, I didn't want to pass without commenting on, I'll have somebody stand around the curtain in a minute. There we go. I wouldn't pass without commenting on A-level performance as well, because that is now, it's funny, isn't it? We're talking about getting ready for GCSEs in this year, but actually we want their eyes forward. We want that limitless aspirations. We want them thinking about the next steps. And there's a lot of those conversations that are part of this evening's presentation. So it is really important thinking about those steps. And again, our A-level students, and I've said this to other audiences as well, but anybody who knocks what the students at GCSE and A-level achieved last summer has got no idea about what they went through and what they've achieved. And we're so proud of them because everything was QA'd, and some of the media stuff, and you just said to the girls on results day and the boys at A-level, don't listen to that, because the work that you've put in, and again, it's whatever they talk about nationally in terms of changing grade structures and everything else, we know how hard our students are going to work, and the outcomes they get, they'll be so well deserved and absolutely right for them. And I just think that's really important. And we are really proud of the fact that we achieved really, really high results at A-level. We did achieve really great value added. We have some interesting graphs because we are on a journey, and we're on a journey in terms of raising our standards and in terms of raising what we've got. And we've kind of battled around the average, some up and down, and obviously each cohort's different, but we're delighted with the A to C, but also the A-star A, because again, it's about adding that value, really helping them achieve those things. And it's actually testament to the work that we've done, where we've identified areas we want to improve and develop. So I think from me, before I hand over to Ms. Cording, it's about, hopefully you have trust that we know what we're doing. Hopefully you have trust that we've been on this journey, we're really experienced at this journey, and we use every opportunity we can, and we're always looking for ways to improve what we do to support your daughter to the very best. And hopefully from what you hear this evening, including the maths stuff, we'll fill you with confidence that we're definitely on that journey. Ms. Cording.
All right, good evening, everybody. Ms. Cording, Deputy Head Achievement. It's lovely to meet you all. I'm new to the role this year, but obviously I've been with the school this is my 8th year now, so I know your daughters very well. And it really is the final countdown, and I'm going to briefly sort of take you through some parts of that. I'm not going to spend too much time talking, because I've got all these experts in the room that are going to talk to you about how they're going to support your daughters going through year 11. My job, along with my colleagues, is to make sure that your daughters become exam ninjas. Okay, this is about getting them ready so that they're fully prepped to hit those exams in the May, June time of the year. But before that, because you'll see in your booklets, there are exams and practical assessments starting pretty much kind of from October onwards. So it's about getting them in the right headspace so that they feel that they can really achieve. And your daughters are going to really achieve, because we at Staff Inset Days, we look at sort of the academic profile of the year groups, and your daughters are a higher academic profile than the year that went before them. So we're expecting really great things of them. But we're also really mindful that their last proper year of undisrupted schooling was year 8. So we've got to ensure that we're supporting them through the next sort of 8, 9 months, which is going to go very, very quickly. So a little bit we've got 246 days until sort of the formal exam series starts, which is not very far away at all.
Advent calendar, isn't it?
Yeah, okay. So you can start crossing it off now. Provisional dates suggest that it's going to be mid-May, so we're very much working towards that. We won't know the full changes to what the exams are going to be and the practical assessments are going to be until we're told early October. You know what the government's like? Could be early October, mid-October, who knows? But fear not, because we're just ploughing on ahead, making sure that they are going to have all the content they need, have the exam skills they need, and be in the right position so that they can hit those exams, whatever they may look like, fully prepped. Okay, as I said, exam ninjas. So what are the attributes that we're further developing? Because they've already got these, but this year it's about really honing them in and making sure that they are focused, that they are confident. Reiterate what Mr. White said. I know from all the teachers, and I know how proud Mrs. Lilly is of her girls coming back really ready for it, and they are. We thought they might be a bit nervous because, it's year 11 and that's nerve-wracking anyway, but they've had disrupted schooling, but they have been fabulous, and we know that will continue through. We know they're resilient because of the 2 years they've had, okay? So we just need them to keep on being resilient. They're definitely determined as a year group, I can assure you. They'll be prepared, and we know that they are robust to ensure that they can really achieve and get the best results possible when they come out in August, whatever date that may be. I'm not going to read these all out. There are additional dates in your booklet, so there's lots of dates and things going on. But just to remind you that it's the Parents' Evening coming up on 2nd of November, okay? We're going to be prepping your daughters for their mocks, which start the week, the 29th of November, so that they're in a really good position, and we're hoping that we'll get them all out of the way pre-Christmas. We will prepare them for that. There's a special revision evening, as it says, on the 29th of May. That's for you, so that you can have more information on how you can support your daughters to be their very best. Throughout the year, you'll hear much, much more from me about how you can do that, so I won't go into too much now. And then we go through the exams, they finish, then we know that the ultimate thing, we've got the prom to look forward to, and then that long summer holidays. So we're prepping them for their exams, but also prepping them to have some fun along the way. If you need more information, we've got a really comprehensive set of information, not just in that booklet, but on our website. If you click on information and go to exams, we constantly review the information that's there, lots of things to help you and to help your daughter. So if she's like, if you're talking to her, say, oh no, I don't know what I'm meant to study in biology, just go on there. There'll be personal learning checklists, lots of revision stuff, so you can support her with that. I will hand over to their year group expert, Mrs. Lilly.
Good evening, everybody. Obviously, you would all know me as Miss Norton, and my name has changed over the summer holidays because I have got married. So I know a few of you were sitting behind your computers thinking, oh my gosh, they've got a new Director of Achievement, but it is still me. And so I'm going to take you through the year ahead for our Year 11 girls. So just in terms of our team this year, so you've got myself as their Director of Achievement, and we lost Mrs. White in the summer holidays. She's went to the sunny Devon beaches, nice life down there, so she's left us. But we are getting Sarah Wright, who is coming in hopefully soon as the Year 11 Pastoral Manager. In the meantime, though, please direct all queries to myself or Mrs. Eaton. So what I'm going to talk about is kind of how you're going to support your daughter at home, but also what your daughter needs to be doing while she's in school. And I'm going to start with that to begin with. So while she's in school, the first thing is staying organised. And I know it sounds like a really simple thing. All of course they're organised, but I just wanted to break that down a little bit more of what that should look like. So making sure the simple thing of that they're coming into school every day with the right books. You wouldn't believe the amount of students when we come into class and they say, Miss, I forgot my book. And actually, in turn, that means they've missed a lesson of notes, will they stick them in again? And we just can't have episodes like that this year. We really need to make sure our Year 11 are organised. Making sure that they are bringing the correct equipment to school, making sure that they have access to all of their online things like email, Sims, so they can get their homework on their phone, and also making sure yourselves you have Sims parent as well, so you can be checking their homework and checking their organisation. So I'd say those are the biggest things about organisation that we really need to make sure are happening from the start to make this a really successful year. The next thing is as well is attendance. It is proven that low attendance will affect grades, and what we need to make sure is that our students are in all day, every day this year, making the most of the sessions that they've got within their subjects. And because obviously with missing learning, missing notes, we don't want them falling behind and those gaps forming within their learning, within their knowledge in those subjects. A lot of the subjects, so for example, maths, we are nearly finished the curriculum. We'll finish in December. So these next couple of months are really imperative to making sure that we're finishing that GCSE course and that they've got all the skills that they need to succeed in those subjects. Making a plan, so it looks like a timetable for school, but it could be a homework timetable, a revision timetable. I always say it's never too early to start those little bits of revision, so it might be once or twice a week that you're going to slip that in, but it's trying to be organised and making sure that your girls have a timetable for homework and that they're fitting those things into their schedule. We know a lot of our girls have clubs after school and they love getting involved in those activities, so it's a really nice thing to do as a family and set out a bit of a timetable to think about when they're going to fit their homeworks in, the revision in, and any other bits and pieces of coursework that they might need to finish. So a timetable I would definitely recommend. We've also got our LEAP sessions. The deadline for this was on Tuesday, but we still have a small number of girls in Year 11 haven't signed up. We are really hoping that our girls get signed up for some academic LEAPs, because this is a really good extra time in their week that they can, work on those subjects that actually they might be finding they're struggling with. What we can do as well is at the end of every big term, they can change it. So maybe your daughter chooses one of the sciences to begin with for a LEAP. Then after that, in December, she can actually change it to something else. So it's a real good quality time where our girls can focus and start revising with the support of our teachers in those sessions. LEAP's fantastic. So if you haven't signed up yet, please make sure you do so. And also asking for help. This is something some of our students don't do enough. They're a little bit afraid of coming to our offices and asking for help, asking their teachers for help. But what I've really said to our Year 11 girls this year is don't be afraid to use your email. So, we want that independence, that responsibility. And I really want Year 11 to be making sure they're emailing their teachers, emailing me for support if they need it. And I know some are already doing that, so that's really good to emphasise that. And then I want to move on to what you can be working with your girls at home. There's going to be a few different things, some of which you've heard before. Some things are really focused on GCSE year. I've already touched on this, but a revision timetable is so important. A lot of people have family timetables as well, where you can put different treats and things in too. So I would really recommend starting one of these early, and it might be just emphasising that on homework initially, and then as the year goes on, putting in some revision. But these are just so good. You can put them on a bit of a whiteboard, on a pin board, change them as the year goes on. But I would really recommend, if you haven't ever done one of these before, sit with your daughter and maybe try to do this over the weekend. It's a really good tool. And the other thing our students love doing is crossing it off, and it's really a nice visual tool of, okay, I've done that, I'm a bit more through, and that makes a difference too. Set up a calm study environment. A lot of our girls have their study environment within their bedroom, and what we've noticed is actually then they're finding it hard to sleep at night, because this is the environment that they're doing all their work in. This is the environment that they're becoming stressed in. So what I would recommend is that you create a study environment for your daughter somewhere else in your house if you can. So it might be downstairs in the dining room, it might be a space in the kitchen, but trying to keep it away from the bedroom as much as possible, because we want that bedroom to be a calm environment, somewhere where they can relax and somewhere where they're not relating it to work. So I really recommend this. So if your daughter's currently working in her bedroom, maybe have a think about where else could we get her to work. And also it's quite nice then, you can keep a sneaky eye on them to see how they're getting on with their work. Ensure she's getting plenty of sleep. We're year 11 and they love bringing their phones to bed. Some of our girls could be up to 3 o'clock in the morning texting or on different apps, Instagram and Snapchat and whatever else is out there at the minute. But I would really say that sleep this year is so important. They're coming into school every morning, they're having a real busy day, and we need to make sure that they're resting and they're recuperating at night time. So that is one of the real big things this year. You know, anxiety increases if we don't get enough sleep. So it's making sure that your daughters are sleeping well at night time and getting the sleep they should be. Making sure that she's eating well and hydrating. We've got a really good thing on our website. There's GCSE support resources, and there's some resources on there that are really good healthy recipes. So it might be that you set your daughter a challenge and maybe once a week she cooks one of these healthy recipes. But they're really, really good. You know, a healthy diet and staying hydrated will all help her stay concentrated and stay healthy, and then be able to have a successful year with revision. That all goes along with the sleep and just keeping ourselves healthy. Helping her keep perspectives. There's a few things I'd like to touch on here, and one is making sure that they're not they're avoiding last minute cramming on their exams. So basically we would see a lot of our girls who really want to do well, who really want to hit the target, but they're cramming last minute with the revision. And you might see this throughout the year. A lot of our subjects are running assessments throughout the year, so you maybe will start to see a trend. And I would really say to try to avoid this. The brain's not going to take it in, and it's not really healthy for them, and then again it might hit the sleep. So we really want to make sure that our girls are avoiding that last minute cramming of revision and homework as well. So again, it comes back to the timetables and making sure they're spacing that out appropriately to keep themselves well. The other thing then is keeping an eye on, you might think you've got a really, really brilliant student, brilliant daughter who is working really hard and all she does is revise, but actually that's quite a negative impact as well. And what I really want you to do as parents is make sure that your daughter is getting breaks, making sure that she's getting time away from revision, because it can all become too much. And we really just want you to kind of decipher between if that's a good amount of revision or if actually she needs a bit of a break and a bit of headspace. So I just want you to keep an eye on that. And the other thing is, you'll get your girls coming home sometimes this year, maybe thinking they've done really bad on assessment. And I just want you to help them as much as you can to move on to the next one. It's done, you've done your best, there's nothing more we can do, on to the next one, and allowing them not to dwell on those assessments that they've already had. I think that's really important. She won't revise, what do I do? Okay, I sometimes hear this from my parents, and they have no idea what to do. And it is really difficult. It's really hard getting that balance. It's really hard with the relationships that you've built with your girls at home and thinking about, oh, am I going to break this bond? You know, I don't want to be nagging all the time. And it is really difficult, and this year will be hard. But I just wanted to go through a few points to help with that. Take your daughter somewhere new to revise. So some students really like going to the library at the weekend because it's a change of scenery. The actual environment makes them feel more academic, you know, get in the zone more. So maybe trying a different environment other than home. That's a good start. Using your own experiences. You've all done this before. You've all been through it before yourself, and you know your daughter best. So having a think about what worked for you and maybe sharing those techniques that helped you whenever you done your exam. So that's also a good technique. Your daughter might not be lazy after all. This is a bit of a weird sentence, but sometimes we're very quick to say, oh, she's just not doing it, she just can't be bothered, or she's just not motivated. And I really want you to understand the fine line between maybe being lazy but also having some anxiety there. And a lot of students, as they go through this year, you know, exams are the most stressful time that they'll go through in their lives. And we really just want you to keep an eye that some students actually might not disclose that and might not want to talk about how they're feeling, and they might not even understand it themselves. But anxiety will mean that they will avoid things and refuse to do things, and it's not actually laziness after all. And we'll go in to a little bit more detail about the anxiety and what you can do to support that at home, because you'll see varying rates of that this year. Treat your child like you would like to be treated after a difficult day at work. We know how that feels, coming home after a really hard day and you're just exhausted and you just want maybe a nice treat. Your daughters will come home this year and maybe they'll be a bit deflated if they've had a hard exam. Maybe they're just so done revising and they're finding things really tough. And maybe it's worth, as a family, putting in some treats. It could be a slice of cake, it could be a walk around the park, just whatever it is, a movie night. But it's about putting those nice treats and those nice experiences in within your week, within your timetable, just so that you all have a moment to breathe, because it'll be hard for you too. It's okay not to be okay. So this is going back onto the anxiety, and as I said, with the exams, with the endless revision, it will increase the stress levels in your daughters, and we just have to be mindful of that. And there's lots you can do at home that we've already talked about, which will hopefully help alleviate those symptoms. But I just wanted to talk about signs to look out for if your daughter isn't speaking to you about how she's feeling, and maybe you're a little bit worried. So things like sleep issues, difficulty concentrating or revising, again, that refusal, that avoidance to do anything, negative behaviour changes, including increased anger or a lot of tears, and also increased irritability. There's a lot we can do about this, and there's so many useful websites out there at the minute. These are a few. So we've got Calm, we've got Headspace, Sleep Cycle, and Pacifica as well. There's loads of different apps out there depending on what you're finding the most prominent issue. So if it's sleep, head to Sleep Cycle. But I just want to let you know also that you've got the support of school. So please get in contact with myself or Mrs. Eaton, because we have counsellors within the school, and they can have a chat with us as well. And we can also just look at the academic issues. If they're worried about a certain subject and that seems to be the thing that's really taken over, we can look at how do we fix that as well, and how we can support your daughter on those subjects. So I just really wanted to touch on that as well, because you may see a side of your daughter that you've never seen before as those stress levels increase this year. So all of this is leading to the bigger picture. We've got through year 11, and I don't know if your girls have come home this week, but what we started talking about is our post-16 options and everything that happens after year 11. And Mrs. Johnson and Mrs. Truman are going to talk about this after me as well, so you'll get more detail from them. But all about the bigger picture of what's next, where they want to go, what they want to do. And a lot of our girls I've been speaking to over the last 2 weeks, and they've been thinking, well, I don't know what's out there, I don't know what my options are, I don't know what's next, and I don't know what fits me best. So we would always say, again, speak to us, but we've got a really good careers advisor as well, that they can book in and schedule an appointment at any time. So I think this is a really good time of year for that to happen. Looking at open days and thinking about university, it's just all those opportunities that are to come. So that's a really important thing to start thinking about. How can you help? We've went through loads of different things tonight, but you can't revise for them however much you'd like to, and you can't take the exams, but you can be invaluable in making the exam process smooth, calm and successful, hopefully following some of the tips that I have given tonight.
Hi, my name's Mrs. Johnston. I'm the careers leader. You probably heard a lot from me last year over the work experience and me nagging you. I just wanted to say thank you, first of all, because last year's Year 10s, considering we were in a COVID pandemic, 120 of our Year 10s went on a proper work experience placement where they were out in the world of work last year, and that was thanks to you and your support and you helping your daughters. And as well as that, every single other Year 10 last year was able to do some virtual work experience. So they all got a bit of experience in the workplace. As well as myself, there's Miss Langford-Lackney. She's the sixth form careers leader, and that's Melanie Worley. For those of you that ever wonder who the careers advisor is, that we invite your daughters to attend and meet. Melanie is an American lady, absolutely fantastic. I've already sent an email out to you all to say that if you want your daughter to have a careers appointment, she's independent, she's not a member of our staff, so completely independent and very knowledgeable and very helpful. So please email me if you would still like your daughter to have an appointment or if they would like one. This slide here, it's a bit, the colour's gone a bit funny. I think it's the Hazefield logo, isn't it? Over the colour. This slide here is just, I hope, quite helpful in that one of the things, obviously the big thing that I'm going to be helping your daughters with this year is helping them work out where they want to be next September. And I've drawn this slide up just to sort of quickly try and highlight the various pathways, the vertical lines of the pathways of choices. And as you can see, this differs a lot, I think, from when I was at school, because they have a lot of choices to consider. On the left there, you've got the pathways that this school offers, and on the right there are the pathways that you might find, say, for example, at Bath College. Where you see the left to the right, you've got the more academic route to the more vocational route. And what I mean by that, I don't mean academic versus vocational as in our A-levels aren't vocational, because, for example, I teach product design, and you could argue that's a vocational A-level. So it's not that, it's more that the more you go to the right on the qualification, the more time you spend out of the classroom and in a work-based environment. So one of the things to consider is how much your daughter prefers to be in a classroom, in the security of a classroom, or would prefer not to be learning in a classroom environment is definitely one of those areas. But as you can see, just a quick difference, we teach 3 separate subjects. The colleges focus on one. They go into one area that they really like. So if somebody is really passionate about one particular thing, they would go there. There's also the difference in the grade requirements for the different pathways, with the exception of apprenticeships, where apprenticeships can be any grade that they set. So, for example, if it was an engineering apprenticeship, they might need a grade 6 in maths and so on. Your daughters are going to get lots of different talks about this over the next few weeks to find out more in assemblies. We're going to have a post-16 pathways day, and they're going to be hearing from different people, not from our school, to find out more. They're going to have visit from someone on apprenticeships and so on. The key thing to note is whatever pathway they take here, they all end up in the same place. It doesn't matter. They can all end up going on to the things at the bottom in yellow. Okay, it's just what's right for them. It doesn't stop them. But if anyone has any questions about any of this, or if you want more information or advice, your daughter needs advice, then that's where you would go for the careers appointment and speak to them. Oh, the last thing from me is just to let you know, obviously, that on the 25th of November, we're having our Achieving Ambitions Day. That's our big employability day, where in the morning, your daughters will get to meet, hopefully, a variety of employers come in and speak to them. So they hear about lots of different career pathways and career experiences. And then they have a mock interview. Quite a few of them have already prepared their CVs in English lessons in Year 10. Some of them, depending on which groups they were in, may not have had that opportunity. So this is my plea to you. I'm going to be sending out a form, like a template for CVs, and it would be really helpful if you could check if your daughter has done that, ready for that day, because they will have the opportunity to have a mock interview with an external person, and it's such a good experience to speak to a complete stranger and try and, sell your skills. So that's something I'm sort of really asking your help for. And the last plea, you will get an email from me asking for your help on that day, because I would love a really big, broad range of employers, careers, journeys from all sorts of jobs, because the more we can sort of get, the more our students learn about the big world out there and what they can do. Okay, thank you.
Hello. My name's Catherine Truman, and I'm the Director of Sixth Form, and I just wanted to come along tonight briefly to introduce myself and the Sixth Form team, because as your daughter continues their 7-year journey through Hayesfield, you're going to see a lot more of me this year. Obviously the Sixth Form team is made up of the fantastic range of the teachers in the school, who are the Sixth Form tutor team, but in particular there's myself. There is also the pastoral manager in the Sixth Form, Mrs. Gulliford, and Mr. Rutt, who is the deputy head of Sixth Form. I just want to also highlight for you a few of the key dates. As Mrs. Johnston said, the range of courses in our Sixth Form is designed to be as inclusive as possible for all kinds of students, because the vast majority of students in year 11 I know will want to join us in the sixth form. We've just taken in and started with a new year 12, last year's year 11, fantastic year group. We had a brilliant time. We went away on our residential at Hook Court. Not sure many people got much sleep, but we had a really good time. And they're really bonding and making their mark already as a year group, and I know that the current year 11 will be coming through the system and doing the same in 12 months' time. So, as mentioned already, on Monday, October the 18th, they're all going to have an opportunity to sign up for a range of little taster sessions of the different courses we have on offer. Because of the different pathways, we have the capacity in our sixth form, and it's the only sixth form in Bath that allows this really, to do a range of academic A-levels, to combine some academic A-levels with one or more vocational courses, or to do a range of 3 different vocational courses, because we do genuinely want our sixth form to be one that everybody in year 11 has the opportunity to join if they want to. So that's part of that day. They'll also have those students who express an interest in it will also have an opportunity to find out about the further education college route on that afternoon as well. On Wednesday, the 10th of November, that's the big date. That is our sixth form open evening, and the students will have an opportunity to come and hear more about how the sixth form works, because the sixth form isn't just about the students' subjects that they study, it's about their whole well-rounded experience. Our sixth formers are the leaders in the school community. They are the risk takers in terms of trying new skills. They are the people who are developing their own passions and sharing that with other students in the school. They really are a cracking bunch of students, and I know that there's opportunities there to develop their skills and their talents in all kinds of ways, making them into a fantastic young adult as they move forward into the next stage of their life. So after the open evening, and you'll have an opportunity as well there to not only hear about the sixth form in general, but to go to specific subjects, ask questions of the teachers, but also the current students who are our best advocates. Applications will open. The application process for sixth form is online, and we'll explain how that works, and they close on the 13th of December. In January and February, we hope to have a one-to-one conversation between the sixth form team and every member of year 11, just making sure that they have thought about any careers implications or subject choice combinations, so that they are embarking on the study in our sixth form that's right for them. We will send out conditional offer letters for them in March. The conditions are very, very simple and straightforward in that different courses in the sixth form have different entry requirements, depending on the starting point in relation to their GCSEs, and there'll be loads of information about this on the open evening. And so the conditional offer is that they need to get the grades for the courses that they want to do, but that's not usually a problem because we've already been through that supportive process, making sure that they're on the right track for them. They will also, obviously, we have one of the conditions is attendance, but again, by that stage in year 11, and by working with Mrs. Lilly, I don't think that's going to be an issue for any students. And we also ask them to take part in some transition work in summer next year, just to get them absolutely super ready to make that change and that fresh start in the sixth form, where they can really explore the subjects and the areas that they're interested in over the following 2 years, and begin to clarify for themselves the direction they want to go as they move on from school into their adult life. So I hope to talk to you much more as the year goes on. Thank you very much.
Right, fantastic. Hello, everyone. I think you know me. My name's Duncan Powell. I'm Deputy Head Teacher here, in charge of teaching and learning. And I'm just going to echo what Mr. White said earlier. It's really, really lovely to see you all again. We've been on this journey with your daughters, and we're going through this next stage. And it is going to be something of a challenge. Mr. White, you went over a mountain. I'm going over a crevice. I've decided. We're
going to get so many different analogies running.
We're playing with we're mixing our metaphors here. I'm sorry. I might wake you lot up a little bit. Okay, could you put your hands up, please? Shall I make you stand? You don't want to stand, do you, right? Hands up, please, if you've ever revised for an exam. Very good. Why put your hands up? Could you keep your hand up or put your hand up again if you were revising for an exam, but you told weren't revising, but you told your parents you were? I think some of you are lying on that one, no offence. Could you put your hands up if you found revision easy? Oh, get out. You're not making any friends here. Could you put your hand up if you found revision a little bit overwhelming? I think that's a little bit more like it. You've kept your hand down. You've stuck to your convictions. I like that. Excellent. Revision's hard, and we know revision's hard, and we've been doing this a very long time. And one of the reasons that revision is hard is because there is so much information thrown at the girls. They have all these subjects, they have everything they've studied, the content, the knowledge, the skills, and they have all these websites now that they can go on and all these different ways of revising. And actually, we really need to think about the way in which they retrieve information. Because revision shouldn't look like this. It shouldn't be frustrating. It shouldn't be overwhelming. What we're very good at here, we've been doing this for a very good long time, is thinking about the strategy that the girls take to their revision, really thinking about the approach that they need to take, because revision should look much more like this. I always say to revise is a verb. It's doing something. It's not sitting back, passively reading the text and hoping that the information will go in. You need to refine it, chunk it, link it, connect it, test it, apply it. All of these are phrases, ideas that we've stolen off some of the resources that we use and that we will share with your daughters over the coming few months as well, because revision is doing something. It's not just reading, it's not highlighting, it's not lining up all your... Yes, Mum, I'm revising, when actually all you've done is reorganised your desk. It's not rewriting your revision timetable in the hope that it might change your shift. Revising is doing something, and we are going to share exactly with your daughter how they do that. There are lots and lots of really useful websites that we've got licenses with. Could you put your hand up if you know any of these, please? Fantastic. And that's probably because you've had daughters with the school. And that's brilliant. That's really good to hear. That's really good to hear. Seneca, GCSE Pod, all of these are absolutely fantastic. And this is technology driving the revision process. And you cannot get better than some of these formats. You really can't. The platform has made what should be a very difficult process much easier. We've put all of these on our website as well. We're going to talk much more about this with you in February. We're going to show you exactly where to find all the resources, and we'd have probably updated our resources by that because we're continually reviewing and updating them. But I just want to draw your attention to that little button there, and it says GCSE Academic Support. If you click on that, you are going to get a world of wonders. You are going into Narnia, into Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, and there are all sorts of things. I'm so sorry, a little bit throaty. And there are all sorts of things in here for you to go and have a look through. There are revision websites, there are revision resources, and as Miss Lily said earlier on, there are even mindfulness activities for parents, for students. There are recipes, advice on well-being as well, because as Miss Lily absolutely said, this is a journey that we are taking the girls through, and it is a journey where we need to look after their well-being as much as we need to look after their academic success. My main message to you is to get into good habits. Miss Lily earlier on talked about revision. I'm going to say, yes, absolutely right. You need to start revising. And you need to start revising now. But that's not going home and doing 5 hours tonight, girls. That's doing a little bit every day. I said to my students today, they've got to study 15 poems. I said, if you read... I'm going to do some maths, actually. Here you go. You ready for this one? 15 poems. If you read one poem a day for the next 256 days... 246 days.
45.
How many times would you have read each poem? Actually, the audience, if you want to do this, 15 poems, one poem a day, 246 days.
What was it, Jordan? That's quite easy to you, Kevin.
I'd like to point out, I don't know the answer to this one. I'm going to pretend I do. 23 times. You just made that up, didn't you? Fine, that'll go. But I thought, and the girl said, well, that's a minute a day, and those poems would have burnt themselves into your subconscious. I said to the girls, I can probably quote every single poem off by heart, and I've never actually sat there and revised them. They've just born into my head because I've read them so many times over the years. It's about getting into good habits, and it's about starting now, a little bit now. I'm not going to have you guess what all of these are, but this, for me, is what revision is all about. It's all about building on those strong foundations. So when you are at the end of year 11, you're not panicking. You're not trying to catch up, because you have had that steady flow. You've gone back to the beginning of the course, and revision is about a drip feed. It's not about a big deluge at the end. It's not cramming it all in. It is a drip, drip, drip over through year 11. If you do that, you will face your fears. We often say those girls should enter the exams feeling confident and happy. They should go in there feeling that they're going to overcome their fears, that they're going to be excited about what they can do, that they're going to show off at what they can achieve and all the hard work they've put in. Because It is hard. They are going to be nervous. There's going to be a whole range of emotions over this. But if they put the time in, if they put the effort in, and if they revise in the right way, they're going to be awesome. It's all going to pay off. And we are there to step them through that journey all the way. Right. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for coming this evening. I'm Kevin Morris. I've taken my hand out of my pocket. Mr. White, I got told off about that the other day. Anyway, I'm learning quickly. It's a steep learning curve at Hayesfield, and I've been here for about 14 or 15 days. And the thing I can assure you is that your daughters are in really, really safe hands. I'm sure you're probably sat there now wondering why I am stood in front of you talking about character, something that's ingrained within the school and that your daughters have to experience on a daily basis when you're here realistically to think and talk about their GCSEs and beyond. But realistically, in terms of their character and in terms of my role within this, well, I've gone the wrong way, you see, schoolboy error, I'm already black mark against me. They're going to need those character values and virtues in bucket loads over the course of the next 9 months. And you've got to be there to ensure that they are able to lean on you, ask you for support, because realistically over the course of the next year, an average school year is 190 days. Your daughters aren't going to be here for an average school year. So there's an awful lot of days in that year when they're not with us. And obviously after the time of about 4:15, 4:30, they're yours again. So we're embedding this character or giving them opportunities to expose it, and we need your support at the same time because you can undoubtedly rely on ours. In terms of how we do it, there we go. You'll know all about our character development journey and the opportunities that we provide. Realistically, we're looking at 40 opportunities to catch them doing the right thing. They'll do that more often, but we want to be there and we want them to understand and recognise when they're doing the right thing as well. Whether they're showing moral courage. We've talked about how difficult revision can be. We've all been there. Can they show that resilience? Can they be ready? Can they have those aspirations that we challenge them for continually, particularly when we're talking about careers and the next steps? There is no glass ceiling. So let's make sure that we support them in achieving all of their aims. So the character development journey requires them to get involved, and there will be times when they will want to shy away from those opportunities that we provide because they want to focus on telling you they're revising or lining up their highlighters. So in real terms, that headspace, that opportunity for them to get out and experience a range of different activities with their friends is vitally important. We used Emma Raducanu in an assembly the other day. Those of you that are aware of the outstanding work that she's done. She also passed her A-levels in the summer with A stars and A's. She passed her driving test and she's just gone and won the US Open. She's fitted it in, but she's also gone to festivals over the summer, having dropped out of Wimbledon in round 4. She realises the balance, and balance is the thing that's been reflected continually. I've come from a range of different educational institutions where hot housing has taken place. I've taught in an all-boys grammar school, in the top 4 schools in the country. I've taught in independent schools of 400 children as well, where character is paid for. Your girls have opportunities that are unbelievable in comparison to those institutions. And what we want to do is encourage them to still take those, even though they're under pressure. We're going to reward them. We're still going to ask them to take leadership opportunities. We're still going to encourage them to be sports captains or tutor reps. What we've got at the moment is a really impassioned and emboldened sixth form leadership team of students who want to make Hayesfield a better place for your daughter. We're going to be challenging your daughters as well to be part of that, making PSHE resources, teaching other students in lessons and passing on their experiences. We'll catch them and we'll reward them. They'll even get to have hot chocolate with Mr. White. And he promises not to spill it on his tie. I think he's a marshmallow man myself. They'll gain... Right you up, I said. Sorry, I'll exit stage left. So they'll gain house points. And as we go through the school, those house points only have value if there's a tangible reward attached to them. And I talk about the experiences that I've had. because a reward is only valuable if we apply value to it. So a certificate only means something if we cherish it, because otherwise it's just a piece of paper. And that's the same with the value that we ascribe to everything. And we ascribe a massive amount of value to character. Leap, all of those clubs on the left-hand side, or the right-hand side as you're looking, are available to your daughter. Help her choose things that are going to enrich her life. Because the members of staff that are leading them are there to pass on their passions. And it's a really useful tool to open their eyes and widen their horizons, maybe to the next step. It might be something they've done in Leap that they choose to go on and look at as a career. We've talked about the girls getting involved. The final piece from me, what about you? You've all got strong opinions. We're preaching to the converted. You're here. We want to hear more from you, and we want to get a really strong friend society going at Haysfield. And my email address is on the bottom. Please don't be shy in contacting me. Mrs. Johnston has talked about careers and you coming in and possibly being part of something there and interviewing the girls and passing on your experience. Let's work together. Let's get involved. Let me know how I can help you have a bigger part here. Thank you ever so much.
Hello, I'm Liz Tuig, and I'm the head of English. Just so you all know, I did volunteer to do Mr. Holbrook's maths slot, but when I told him that I would just say, don't worry about maths, focus on English, and talk a little bit more English, he ran down the corridor to find Mr. Lilly. So just wanted you to know what a generous character I was, really, to start with. So you're in safe hands. Your girls are in safe hands. Our girls are in safe hands with the English team. We're all experienced teachers. We're all very passionate. So it doesn't matter which teacher you have, because we follow the same curriculum map. They were going to get the same interesting experience diet from us. So confidence is really the key to success, as it's been said already. Our aim in English is that they enter that exam hall really confidently, but thinking, right, I can do this, not worried about what the paper looks like, what the questions are going to be, that they have that knowledge with them and that confidence that they will go in there not worried about it, because sometimes that worry and anxiety can get in the way of that success. So the massive aim is that they feel really confident when they enter the exam halls, and they'll do both their literature and their language this year, which has been different from the last few years. Just going to flag this up. And just to say that, you know, we've talked about our girls in Year 11 now having a really strong academic standard, and that this is what was achieved last year with English language and English literature. So the girls in the room, that's what you've got to beat. No pressure. Be absolutely fine. But also, just to reiterate what's been said already, is that even though they were teacher-assessed grades, none of those grades were given to students. They were absolutely earned. And you'll know if you've got daughters in Year 11 who've gone through that, how hard they did work. So they are really well-earned grades. Okay, so the course content, we have English language, where we read a wide variety of literature still, even though it's language, because in the exam papers, they have non-fiction texts to look at and to examine, and they have fictional texts as well. So the more they read, the better. I know that reading drops off when they become a little bit older, but we really encourage them to keep picking up a book, keep reading, rereading all their literature texts this year, reading magazines, the size of buses, anything, newspapers. Just keep them reading if you can. I know that is a hard task as a parent. I have a daughter of my own, and I know how difficult that can be. But it really does make a massive difference if you can get them engaged in a book and get them reading. It's really important. So the literature course content, they've completed it all. Okay, so they're in a really good position. The only thing they now need to be taught is the unseen poetry. But they've already got those skills in place from when they have studied the love and relationships poetry. So they've got those skills. We've just got to teach them how to answer those particular questions in the exam. Okay, because again, like I said, it's really important they know what those questions look like. So there is no doubt when they go into that exam hall what they're going to be sitting and writing about. We then have the language course, and again, we've already taught paper 1, and we've started teaching paper 2. So again, they've done a massive chunk. So by Christmas time, before that really, they will have covered everything in the English literature and the English language course. And that's really important for you all to know that, because now what they're going to be doing is they're going to be revising. But we call it kind of revisiting all the information that they've had. Okay, sometimes when you say, oh, you're going to revise, there's a groan, but it's just revisiting, going over things, consolidating things, making sure all that information is in their head and locked in their head, and they know and they can talk confidently about it. So the bright side of finishing everything is that revision. They will be jumping for joy in those English lessons, knowing that they've now got the time to go back. So students in the room, when your parents look at you just like that, like I've just seen, go like this. Yes, we will be jumping for joy, absolutely. Because you're really lucky, believe it or not, that you have a massive chunk of time to go over everything. So what do we read in English? So just so that you know, several books for literature. So your daughter might have studied Jekyll and Hyde, or they might have studied Christmas Carol or Frankenstein. Again, get them to rewatch videos, rereading the text, really good. There's an amazing thing in Queen Square at the moment on, I think it's Frankenstein, yeah. So if you can, take them to that, because that will be absolutely awesome. Non-fiction, just get them reading anything, because in that paper 2 language, they look at 2 non-fiction articles. So it could be something about Charles Dickens going to the fair, and it could be, they have to compare it to an article about somebody going to Glastonbury Festival for the first time. So they're non-fiction things. So any magazines, you know, Vogue, if they're interested in it, you know, the Observer magazine, anything where you have articles where you can perhaps have a conversation with them, because if you haven't read the literature text, this is something that you could absolutely do with your daughters. You could say to them, read that short article. What's it about? Tell me. Who's it aimed for? Where's the bias? What, you know, who do you think it's aimed at? What's the point of that article? Because that will get them thinking about language, and that will be really helpful to them. Spoken word assessment, they've already done that. So they've done that in year 10. They've all got a mark for that. It doesn't contribute at all to the GCSE language grade, but they have to have it. So they will, on their exam slip, they will have a result that says pass, pass, merit, or distinction. So they've done that, nothing to worry about. So successful students in English, like in most subjects, they have excellent SPAG skills, so that's spelling and grammar. So they know when they've written something, they can reread it and recognise perhaps where they've made an error and correct it. They have super proofreading skills, excellent attendance, it's been said already. I always say it every year whenever I do an evening like this, there is no dead time at Haysfield. Every lesson is important. And although we have chunks of time to go over things, we haven't got chunks of time to repeat lessons because people have been away. So that's really important that that students attend and have good attendance. I feel like my battery is running a bit low, actually. But I'll keep going. Keep ploughing on. So stay focused, try their very best, keep their folders up to date. That is so crucial with English, especially with their literature folders that are about this fat now. It's really important they are organised. So when they do start going back over things, you know, encourage them to sort it out if it's not already sorted. Make sure everything is in the right filing bit, everything is in the right place, so that when they do start going back for things, they know where everything is. I always say to the girls, you should carry those folders around with you. You should be bringing them home, bringing them back to school, and they groan because they are heavy. I would recommend them doing that so that it's not just kept in a classroom, but just make sure that when they do bring their folders home, take them back to school again, you're swapping arms so you don't get an unnatural big muscle in the one. It's evenly spread out weight gain. Okay, so, but that is really important that they've got those folders and everything's up to date. And they are pretty good at that, actually, aren't they, our girls? They're pretty good at organising. Loads of little different study aids. I would really recommend GCSE Pod. It is such a wonderful resource to have, and many schools do not offer it for students. It's a really expensive resource to purchase if you were to go out and have to purchase that yourself. It's like a couple of £100. So it's absolutely brilliant that they've got that. Everything they need to know about any of the literature or the language course is on GCSE Pod. And I think I've said this to you before. They can just download it onto their phones. They plug themselves in. You can not speak to them for an hour. It's absolutely marvellous. They listen to little 3-minute pods, 4-minute pods. They can do it when they're doing the dishes for you, when they're hoovering the house, when they're taking the dog for a walk, because I know they'll be doing all those things. So it really is marvellous when they're in the car and you really have had enough of them and you don't want to speak to them. Say, plug yourself into GCSE Pod English literature, English language. Please do some revision while we're driving to Nance. Okay, so do all of that. The revision books are there and available. If your daughters do purchase the revision books, do encourage them to use them, because like with my daughter, I said to her, it's not enough that you've just got that revision book. You do have to open it, look at it, read it, and do some of the activities, because sometimes I have those revision books donated back, and on occasion you can tell that a parent has paid for those and they have not even opened the page. Very rarely, but it has happened. So make sure they're using them. Another thing that Mr. Powell and I always talk about is when you're going back over things, when they are doing their proper revision for the exams, is that the girls don't revise things they already know, because that's a waste of time. It's a real comfort zone, isn't it, to do something, to go back over something. I'll reread Frankenstein because that's wonderful, but I hate the poetry, so I'm not going to do that. It's the poetry that they might need to be doing. So just make sure they're not picking out the things they already know and love, and that they're actually revising the things that they're wibbly-wobbly at, because that's the bits that they really do need to revise. Okay, you can revise for English. Yes, you can. Yes, you must. Talk to them. I know I've just spent 5 minutes telling you to ignore them and get the headphones in, but on occasion you might want to have a conversation with them and ask them, what are you looking at in English? What are you reading? What's that text about? What do you mean there's a bit of alliteration in there? What do you mean by hyperbole? Just have that little snippets of conversation, just catch them when they're in a good mood, which I'm sure happens sometimes. Just as they're stomping up the stairs, you can say to them, "Tell me about Frankenstein." Okay, so that's my name, as you know, and that's me done.
For those who are slightly concerned about Mr. Morris, I did just want to reassure you, I know it's going to be a step up for him coming to Haysfield, but he'll get to know what being the top one looks like. So we are working on that with him. As we said, we're stepping in for Mr. Holbrook. I will step over and hand over to the maths teacher next to me, and we won't try and blag everything together. But in everything that we're talking about, we're throwing a lot of things at you in terms of resources, in terms of all the things that you can do. Your daughter will be experiencing all these things. We just had a quick conversation about making sure, because we do lots of assemblies, lots of different messages to them about the things that they need to know, and always drip feeding in those things. But all their subject teachers are always talking about and showcasing all those different materials. So, we will be going through all those with your daughter.
Basically, in maths, I think I said this earlier, we are finishing the course around Christmas time, January, and we are on schedule with all of our classes, which is really good. And at this point, we haven't decided who's doing foundation or higher. We look at that after the mocks, and we start to make decisions then, depending on what they get. And obviously, our real thinking behind that is that we want our girls to guarantee themselves the best grade that they can. So if they're sitting around a 6+, we usually say that they are best suited for the higher paper. And if they are around the 5, we think they maybe get a better chance of getting the 5 in the foundation paper. What you'll notice is when you start to see the papers coming home this year, is that there's a large crossover in the middle. So the questions at the end of the foundation and the start of the higher are actually the same. So what else have I not talked?
This is my expert bit, and then I'm going to hand back over to Miss Lily. Having talked this through with Mr. Holbrook a lot, because it's that thing about foundation higher. there's that kind of foundation. That's not for me. My daughter should be doing foundation. She should be doing the higher paper. But the expertise that has been gathered in maths and understanding the nuances about what's right in terms of helping them achieve the grades and pushing to achieve the best grades. But what this graphic is showing, and I know it's a small graphic, but we were just trying to discuss how long the new GCSE maths course has been in about 3 or 4 years. When they made the changes, they made sweeping changes to GCSEs and A-levels a few years ago, a lot of content moved downwards. So the left-hand graphic shows this is an old graphic, but what was called the current A-level then, a lot of content moved down into the higher tier GCSE. So A-level content is, in that GCSE now at that higher end, there's much more of the old A-level content in there, and therefore a movement down from the higher tier into the foundation tier. And then, in terms of what's going downwards into Key Stage 3 and what they've come through with. So it is different experience. It isn't about thinking that a foundation is different in terms of it's not as good at all. It's about really helping them target those grades. And that's why we leave it as long as possible. As Miss Lily said, we want to make sure we get through to the mocks. And the real positive thing about that, when they're doing those mocks, they finish the course. So they're actually really sitting those exams with all of the knowledge, all the information, and it's a full set of exam papers. And that gives a real strong picture then of where they are and what they're doing to achieve.
So as Mr. White has just said, that the exam has changed and it's got harder, and part of this difficulty is due to the worded problems. So instead of just asking an equation and for you to solve it, they're now embedding this knowledge within worded problems. And in a lot of our problems as well, they are maybe putting in something like percentages along with a ratio question, so they're combining knowledge as well. So they have got more complex. And what we really want to focus on within our maths department in year 11 is preparing your daughters for that exam. And when they get to the GCSEs, there are 3 papers, no matter which tier they sit. 3 papers. The first one is a non-calculator, and then the last 2 are calculator papers, and each of which are 1 hour and a half. So this year in year 11, starting from this term, your daughters will get 3 assessments per term, 2 of which they get for homework. So they can take it home, they can do it in their own time, they use that as a bit of a revision tool, and 1 of which will be sat as a formal assessment within class. And that will be coming, I think the first one's just before the half term. So they'll be getting lots of practice. Your daughters will see loads of examples of these questions, and initially it will be quite difficult. Initially they'll look at the questions and think, how do I solve this? Or this isn't something that I've seen before. But as we work through the year and as we work through the terms, 3 papers a term, that is, they're going to get lots of practice. We then, dissect the paper when we're in class, look at how to solve them, look at techniques to be able to break apart the question to then get the answer. And I would describe it for our girls here as a bit of a roller coaster year. So sometimes your grades in the assessments will be really good and sometimes they'll drop a little bit, but that is completely normal. Again, within each paper, it's a complete mixture of topics as well. So you've got geometry, you've got algebra, number embedded within every single one of them. So it's not that paper 1 is focused solely on a certain area. So it's just really about trying the questions and looking at exam skills for this subject. There are lots of support materials in mathematics. These are going to be put on Parent Pay in the next couple of weeks. We do have revision guides, but the other thing that I would really suggest is the workbook, because it gives your daughters those questions that they can write in the book. They can try different topics, and it's just another resource to use aside from the past papers that they're going to be getting quite regularly. It gives them a little bit of change of scenery. So I'd really recommend these. So keep your eye out for the revision resources on Parent Pay. We also have lots of really good websites and really good tools. Your daughters have been using MathsWatch probably from year 7, and hopefully all have their logins. Girls, if you don't have your login, please let one of us know so we can get that restored for you so that you're set up for the year. But MathsWatch is absolutely excellent. It breaks it down into all different topic areas. You can search for the clip If you're thinking you just need a little bit of a touch-up, there's 1-minute clips and then there's longer clips as well. But the really beneficial thing of Maths Watch, it's got interactive questions that mark them for you, and they're all pulled from past papers, so you're getting the worded problem practice, and it actually shows you the solution, and you can see kind of where you went wrong and maybe what you needed to get full marks in that question. So Maths Watch is such an excellent tool. We've also got on the Q Drive, so your girls will have access to this. There's loads of resources, so more past paper questions, targeted tests where they can focus on certain topic areas. Another website that I absolutely love and I would recommend is Maths Genie. It's not up here, but I really recommend it. It actually pulls, so from EdXL Papers, which is the exam board that your daughter is sitting, it pulls all the questions of that topic from all the past papers that have ever existed. So it's an absolutely excellent tool for some practice. So if your daughter's worried about simultaneous equations, you can go on the website, click simultaneous equations, and there is endless questions from all the past papers. So not only is your daughter getting practice with those questions, she's also getting practice with the exam type of question and the exam skills that she needs to use to answer that. So I would really recommend those websites. Further support, so we have a Maths Busters Leap. I can't remember what day this is on, but it's on the provision at the minute. So please sign up for that. That's where you're going to get expert support from our amazing maths team. And again, as I said, maybe if you've signed up for science now, please don't hesitate to book in with us for the Leap after Christmas. They go through exam skills. They'll maybe, if you've maybe studied something in your class that you're struggling with, you can bring that to a teacher and do that after school as well. So it's just really key extra time that's so important to really get to grips with the maths content. We have termly revision lists and practice papers. That's what I was talking about a second ago. So again, 2 are a bit more informal, so they might be done in class, some set as homework, and then that 1 formal assessment per term. Your daughters already have the revision list for this, but they're also put up on Sim's parent, Sim's student on the homework pages, so they can have a look. So they're actually revising throughout the term, not just maybe a week or 2 before that assessment at the end of term. So that's really key, and it's embedding those revision techniques as well and making sure that they're breaking down the revision nice and early. What we also do with those assessments, it allows us to identify key target areas. So we can look and say, okay, actually for the last 3 assessments, this student has struggled on loci, and then we can start to actually target that revision to be specific towards that area so that the next time they see the question, they hopefully get it right. So it's finding those gaps in the knowledge throughout the year. So this is really, really important. The girls in their books will have blue assessment feedback sheets, and again, this is where we will identify the areas for development. So they can look at these throughout the year and go and use that for their revision. So those are so important. Any time that your daughter has any problems, any questions about homework, as I said, really developing the independence for my year 11s, and I want them to email, but they can also go to the maths office, drop in, they can just go to the door and any of the teachers will help. It doesn't have to be their classroom teacher. We also have Christmas and Easter mock exam analysis. So we identify some of our students that maybe have achieved weaker results and we can get them in for extra support. And usually, I don't know if it's happening this year, sir, with the during our holiday times, like Easter holidays, we will have specialist support with teachers coming in, and they can come in for a bit of exam practice as well.
Yeah, so we're looking at the first week of Easter holidays is when we traditionally put on those kind of revision workshops. We're looking at some collaboration across with Beechin as well, so hopefully we're going to have a really lovely offer. Just wanted to say that in terms of the mock exams, particularly where you've got so many papers in English, maths and science, is we do split into 2 mock cycles. So the December mocks is where their full kind of mock experience will be, but in just before Easter, just after February half term, there will be a week where they will again be exposed to doing their science, maths and English papers again. It's part of the practice, it's part of that exam ninja, it's part of giving them, the opportunities to improve where they thought they went wrong at Christmas, so they can go again on that.
Okay. And that is it. So if you want to pester Mr. Holbrook with all your questions, please do.
We should just give him the mobile number and everything.
I think he deserves it after this. So yes, please do contact him or your daughter's maths teacher as well for any questions that you may have. And also I'll be around at the end if you do have any maths specific questions as well. Thank you so much.
Right, hello, we're nearly there. I think I'm pretty second to last, I think, so not long. I'm Chris Fuller, Head of Biology, so I'm here on behalf of Mrs. Watley, the Head of Science and the rest of the Science Department. So where are your daughters going? We have terminal exams at the end of the year. Obviously, that's our kind of our finish point. There's no coursework or anything like that for science anymore. Like with English and maths, we're aiming to finish around about Christmas time. It will be slightly later for those of you whose daughters have got doing the separate science course. But just to very quickly remind you, your daughter will either be doing separate science, which used to be called triple science, or they'll be doing the combined science, which you might previously have heard of called double award. That's the breakdown of the exams. In short, regardless of which one your daughter's doing, she will sit 2 exams in each of the sciences in the summer. They are slightly longer if they're doing the separate science because there's more content to cover. So those are kind of the key facts there. In order to succeed, there are just a few things, most of which has already been talked about in English and maths. Making sure she completes her homework and her coursework to the best of her ability. Coming and asking us if she needs support, whether that's coming and speaking to us at the end of lessons, catching us in the staff room at break or lunchtime, or sending us emails when they're at home, when they're doing any revision. Just if they get stuck, ping us an email. We also run separate LEAP sessions for biology, chemistry and physics on different nights of the week. So I'd rather, to be honest, that they didn't stop doing them and went to maths and just stayed doing the biology, chemistry and physics ones for the year, but she had the ones that she needs. And we also have a huge amount of revision material available on the Q Drive via Utilise. So that's kind of the main thing I just want to mention. We have our dedicated science section on the Q Drive, which is at Science. And in there, we've got 2 major folders that your daughter can use to access some really useful revision resources. The first one she'll come to, that's our Pixel revision resources. And in there's a huge amount of different strategies that she can use to help her with her revision. Both the Pixel Know-Its, which are very much kind of key fact focused, and then our Pixel Knowledge Mats and Pixel Independence tasks, where they're starting to be more active and doing kind of some more active revision and helping to really further and reinforce their knowledge. So all of that is on there, and it basically takes your daughter through all of the key points for all 3 of the science subjects. And each of them also has a range of exam questions at the end, starting with some relatively simple kind of factual recall ones, to kind of moving on to some harder analysis questions as well, all with the mark schemes. There are mind maps of different levels that she can access. But the other key resource that we have are the past exam paper questions, and we mentioned several times how useful they are as a revision resource. We've taken all of the GCSE past revision papers for biology, chemistry and physics. We've broken them down by subject, and then we've broken them down by level. It's physically not possible, I think, in the number of days we've got left for your daughter to do all of the ones that are there, but dripping them in throughout the revision, having a go, having a practice at those would be very, very useful. So again, they're broken down by topic, and then within each topic, they're broken down by level. So your daughter should know her target grade, and based on her target grade, she can then focus on which questions to select. In order to help decide where to start your revision, it's really important that your daughter RAG rates herself against the personal learning checklists, and they're all available online. And again, I think as Ms. Lilly or Mr. Powell said, it's really important that they focus on the things that they find most difficult and not staying within their comfort zone and repeatedly revising the structure of the cells and actually going away and doing their physics equations or anything else that your daughter particularly struggles with. In terms of homework, I just really wanted to make it very, very clear, because science is a bit of an odd one because they're doing multiple GCSEs. If your daughter does combined science, she's doing 2 GCSEs, so she will expect to get 2 hours worth of homework from science each week. For separate sciences, they're doing 3 GCSEs, so they should expect to get 3 hours worth of science homework per week. In science, all of the homework is set centrally. So it's set by myself, Mr. Atwood, the head of physics, and Mrs. Watley, the head of chemistry, and also the head of science. And teachers may also set homework alongside that for the specific needs of pupils in their class. So yeah, final messages from me really. If your daughter needs help, please come and speak to us, either by email or face to face. Again, starting that revision little and often, okay, not leaving it to the end, not cramming it. We have revision guides through Parent Pay, again, and acting on feedback from the teachers. Those are our email addresses. Please feel free to get in touch with any of us, either regarding science in general or a specific one as needed. Well, thank you very much.
Brilliant. How are we feeling? Roller coaster all right? Are we now really terrified? Is people feeling a bit sick? People trying to get off? A few people left. I was like, oh God, so they're pulling the emergency cord, they're out. But I hope we haven't just terrified you. I hope, and it does feel a bit overwhelming. I'm just sitting there thinking, whoa, forget sometimes the sheer volume. And you can see when we start talking about just those 3 subjects, and then you're multiplying that by all the subjects they're studying. But I think what we're trying to show you is that every subject has that level of organisation, they have that level of access to materials. And again, sometimes you sit there thinking, well, it wasn't like that in the old days, I was just given a textbook and sent away, and now suddenly there's all these different ways of revising, there's all these different resources available, but we will be talking them through. Their teachers are always talking them through the different ways to do that. And this is why this message about starting sooner rather than later and just doing some simple things. Can I access all those resources? Can I go and make sure I know how to do that? Have I got my logins to GCSE Pod? Can I get on, MathsWatch and all of those things? That's the steps they need to be taking now in terms of getting themselves prepared. Yes, there's a lot of homework. Yes, it's going to be hard work. It's hard work to be awesome. I mean, what a quote is that? And that is exactly what this is about. We can't shy away from that. We want them to be balanced. We want them to think about all the other things they're doing. We don't want them to throw away the opportunities that are around this year as well. So it's busy, it's full on, but I hope you feel the trust that you've got in us, that we're going to do our best to absolutely guide them through that. We know there's a few curveballs coming. There's that little, well, it's not little, is it? I've been called a marshmallow tonight, so there could be other things that I can manage to do. But I think we want to talk about that, and there was a little edge of hysteria earlier today with Year 11, with worrying about close contacts and positive tests. And the world is changing around us all the time. We're moving forward, and the thing that is just so wonderful is having students back in classes, having students being able to interact, being able to do what we do best with them, and be able to teach them and work with them. And have less barriers. We know, though, that there's always things around the corner. There's always things that could change, and we're not out of the woods in any way, but we're just always hoping for the most normal as possible year that we can get. In terms of just sort of reminders, and I spoke to quite a lot of students today, and just as did Miss Cording, about just some simple reminders. If they're doing the lateral flow tests, we encourage that to do that twice a week at home. Obviously, what that does is give any early warning if they get a positive test. But obviously PCR tests are the key, and if they have any symptoms, if they're not feeling well, we'll obviously contact you. If they have any concerns, or if they're contacted, or there's a contact about being a close contact, then always the advice is to go and do a PCR test. And that's what we've said to the girls today. It's not panicking and trying to rush off and do an LFD in the middle of the day in the toilets or something. That doesn't exactly provide, as a scientist, I was like, heart attack central. As a mathematician, sorry, I keep forgetting what I'm trying to sell tonight. But it's, we said to them, and actually, they've come through this so well in terms of resilience and everything else. It's obviously, but we know there are bumps in the road that go alongside all the anxieties around what we're doing. But again, we've got them, we've got their backs, we're here with them all the way, and we, whatever comes, we'll be there with them. What things are we doing in school? Just, things around in terms of the kind of basic things. We are around, some very simple things that actually we hope might reduce some of the other issues that you get with winter, just some basic things that actually are going to help with common hygiene and what we're doing. There's the symptom stuff. It is important that you do get in touch. If you get a positive on a lateral flow test, that you phone us and let us know, but you log it with the NHS website and with the school, because logging it with the NHS website is what causes a response, and you'll get then the response and you'll get the advice from the professionals. The NHS will be in touch. We know that's what happens, and they'll sort that out. And that's the really key. But if you do that, the support will come in, obviously, and then book PCR tests. We know that in terms of isolations and stuff, that's the difference now. Obviously, if someone else in the household's tested positive and they haven't, then there's no requirement for them to stay in at home and isolate as well. And that obviously really helps in terms of, because for this age group, for this cohort, the impact has shown to be less. And you know, that I've said to them, we're really lucky we haven't had any major issues at all within the time they've been at school. And it shows, I said, they've just got brilliant immune systems. It's those old fogies that they're supposed to be protecting, and that's why things have changed on that. But we do really work on things like the hand hygiene. We are still encouraging to wash their hands when they come into school. We've got sanitizer everywhere. You should have seen it as you came down here by the refectory and stuff. And that's just important, hand hygiene in general. It's just, hopefully it might reduce some of these other bugs around as well, and transmission. It's funny how some things seem quite obvious. You think, maybe we should be doing this more often. And just basic things, you know, in terms of the way that they manage their sneezes and their tissues, all the lovely things we like to talk about. We've got one-way systems still. We are still, you know, encouraging them to go outside as much as they can, making the most of this lovely weather that September always likes to throw at us after a pretty manky August. But it's, you know, it's always the way, isn't it? But that is important, that they are still doing that they are still thinking about that. And what I love, and that's our self-confidence of our girls, and we've said all along, face coverings is your personal choice. It's up to you whether you like to wear them or not. And they are, and they're making that choice to wear them, and they're feeling confident that actually, yes, that's a decision I want to make. And again, that just, you know, I think that's brilliant. That's them making those choices to do that, and because it helps them feel more comfortable wearing it, and that's absolutely right. I keep telling some of them, stop wearing them as chin hammocks. That's all. It's like, all you're doing is putting a load of dirt and dust on it, and then you put it on your face. That's not quite the idea, but we're working on it. We do have an outbreak management plan, and regardless of people's views on all these different things, and boy, there are a lot of different views out there, we are always going to follow Public Health England's advice. We're always going to go with that. Yes, we may change things as we go. It's been amazing them having together for assemblies, depending on any cases, and obviously there's a little bit more, seems to be a bit more of an increase locally at the moment, not so in the school, which is great, but you know, we're always going to be taking that advice. I think that's the main message, really. We're always taking the advice from Public Health England about, you know, anything we should be doing, and we will always let you know first before we do anything else. We've had a few little problems that some people may have with our Sims in Touch system. If you think you should be getting messages and you're not getting them, or you've heard someone else has got something, can you just let us know? Because we're having a little bit of a sporadic issue, but hopefully it's not a problem for you guys. I'm always going to unashamedly sell the bulletin, because I know it's long and I know it requires a large glass of wine to read it on a Friday night. But if you think about the blood, sweat and tears we put into it, I love it. It's my favourite part of the week, tomorrow, just reading it through, seeing all the things in there and just being amazed at what we do and what the girls do and what they've managed to achieve, and celebrate with them. And if there's things your daughter does outside of school, please send it to me. I love sticking it on the bulletin, and maximum embarrassment for them as well. But we don't get to hear some of the amazing things they do, and it's wonderful to be able to share that through the bulletin. We do use no caller ID. We don't mean to use no caller ID. Our phone system does that. So if you get a no caller ID, it might not be someone trying to sell you something. It might be us. So it might be just to answer it briefly before you do that. And last from me, it is always important to celebrate what sometimes people don't think are important stuff, but you know, we're so proud of the fact that all the time we're listening to what the students are telling us on things. Don't always agree, but we're listening to what they're saying. And obviously things like toilets are important. There's a thing that they don't like if you've got not very nice toilets. And think about your own school experiences. We've worked hard to replace every single set of toilets in both sites now, in terms of the work over the summer. Of course, they walked in and went, "Where's the mirrors? What's going on?" That's Brexit for you, or lorries. We will be getting them by half term. And again, you walk past our new refectory extension, something, again, we're always looking to improve the facilities for them to have, another indoor dance space, and our wonderful drama space. I mean, a wonderful performance space upstairs. If you're on the way out, if you want to sneak a look through on the side, it's where the wooden bits are. But again, we're always trying to improve the facilities, what they've got there, and hopefully we'll be having some lovely showcases on display there. There's great views out the window, which is a little distracting. And again, we've converted the drama room into another art room. So now we've got 3 art rooms there. I was in with Year 11 briefly there earlier, enjoying those spaces and those professional spaces. But we're always looking to improve. They always moan when, you know, later on they go, "Well, you didn't have that when we were in Year 7. Well, they've got much nicer stuff. But we're always trying our best to try and push on what we're doing. And because we've now got you back in the flesh, while we still can, do come and enjoy some of the events and the showcases. We've got our piano showcase on Monday. I'm really looking forward to live music with live audience, and I know the students are as well. So hopefully you'll be able to join us for that. If you can pay before you come on parent pay, that would be wonderful. Although apparently, allegedly, we might have a tap thing to be able to take card payments, which is very exciting. So, if you could fill out the evaluation form and take a minute on the way up, we would really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much.